The negotiation meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. sharp in Mike's newly renovated conference room, not Pixel Push's nap pod-equipped brainstorming space. Mike arrived early to find James already there, arranging detailed parking analytics and financial projections on the large screen. The security footage highlights reel was queued up, just in case. At exactly 9 a.m., Pixel Push's delegation arrived, looking notably disheveled after parking 6 blocks away. The CEO, board members, and their hastily hired real estate consultant filed in, their usual startup swagger notably diminished. Mike couldn't help but notice their designer shoes were slightly scuffed from the unexpected morning walk. "Before we begin," Mike said, sliding elegant folders across the table, "here's our standard NDA. I trust you understand the need to protect our parking innovation intellectual property." The irony of using startup language wasn't lost on anyone in the room. The next 2 hours were a masterclass in negotiation. Mike presented his terms with methodical precision: designated spots at premium rates, substantial security deposits, and strict enforcement policies. When Pixel Push's CEO attempted to argue about the pricing, James smoothly pulled up comparable rates from luxury parking facilities across the city. "Actually," James interjected, "given your company's previous unauthorized usage patterns, we're offering quite a generous legacy user discount." He then displayed a calculation of what they would have owed at standard rates for the past 6 months of unauthorized parking. The real estate consultant whispered something to the CEO, who suddenly looked even more uncomfortable. Mike later learned that their lease agreement prohibited them from operating without adequate parking facilities. His new premium parking service had effectively cornered them into either accepting his terms or potentially breaching their office lease. By lunch, the agreement was finalized. Pixel Push would lease 50 designated spots at premium rates, with clear terms about usage and penalties. But Mike wasn't finished. He had one final card to play. As a gesture of professional courtesy, he said, sliding across one last document, "We're offering Pixel Push the opportunity to be the first corporate member of our upcoming ChenTech Innovation Hub." The board members perked up as Mike outlined his vision: a state-of-the-art parking facility with EV charging stations, a gourmet coffee bar, and a dedicated food truck zone, all professionally managed and secured. "After all," Mike added with a smile, "we believe in supporting the local tech ecosystem." 6 months later, Chen Electronic Solutions had become an unexpected case study in modern urban space management. The parking operation, now a separate subsidiary, was generating more revenue than some of Pixel Push's apps. The coffee bar, staffed by professional baristas, had become the go-to meeting spot for the district's business community. Mike's favorite addition was the monthly Innovation Parking newsletter, which featured updates about the facility's latest amenities and, more importantly, highlighted the success stories of his long-term warehouse clients alongside tech company news. It was his subtle way of reminding everyone that innovation wasn't exclusive to startups. Pixel Push's CEO, who'd finally learned Mike's name, became a regular at the coffee bar. One morning, he actually admitted, "You know, we were wrong about the old warehouse thing. What you did here, that's real disruption." The ultimate validation came when a major business school requested to write a case study about the parking lot transformation. They were particularly interested in how a traditional business had outmaneuvered a tech company at their own game. Mike agreed on one condition: the case study had to include a section about respecting existing businesses in gentrifying areas. 1 year to the day after the Great Parking Showdown, Mike hosted a small celebration for his staff. Standing in the gleaming parking facility, watching valets efficiently guide vehicles while tech workers and warehouse staff mingled at the coffee bar, he raised a toast to parking solutions. Sometimes the best innovation is simply respecting what works and making it work better. And somewhere in the back, a Pixel Push employee was overheard saying, "Maybe we should have just asked nicely in the first place." Over the next 3 weeks, Mike meticulously built his case while watching the parking situation spiral further out of control. His security cameras, originally installed to prevent theft, now captured a daily circus of entitled behavior that would have been comical if it weren't so infuriating. One particularly chaotic Tuesday, Mike witnessed a Pixel Push employee attempting to direct a food truck into his loading zone for their team-building Taco Tuesday. The event organizer, wearing a Disrupt Everything t-shirt, had the audacity to knock on Mike's office door and ask if they could borrow some power outlets for their DJ setup. When Mike refused, he overheard the employee complaining on their phone. The warehouse people are being totally analog about this. Zero innovation mindset. Maria, his logistics manager, had started a dedicated Slack channel called #ParkingNightmares, where warehouse staff shared their daily observations. The highlights included a Tesla owner installing a personal charging cable through one of the warehouse windows, a group of developers setting up standing desks in the loading dock for the natural light, and most bizarrely, a midnight yoga session illuminated by car headlights. The financial impact was becoming severe. Chen Electronics had lost 3 major clients who couldn't reliably access the facility. Their insurance company sent a warning letter about the increased liability risk from unauthorized vehicles. Even their longtime delivery partners were threatening to implement surge pricing for the extra time spent finding alternative unloading spots. Mike's attempts at professional resolution reached new levels of absurdity. He scheduled a meeting with Pixel Push's operations team, only to have them suggest he pivot to a cloud-based warehouse model to reduce his parking needs. Their HR departments sent him a link to download their company's meditation app, claiming it would help him embrace change with mindfulness. The situation reached its peak during a crucial inventory delivery. A truck carrying $300,000 worth of limited edition gaming hardware was forced to idle on the street for 2 hours because the loading dock was blocked by cars belonging to Pixel Push's visiting board members. When Mike approached the group, who were taking a walking meeting around his property, their response left him speechless. "Listen," said one board member, adjusting his designer glasses, "we're in the middle of a funding round. Your storage facility should understand that our valuation impacts the entire neighborhood. Have you considered rebranding as a co-working space?" That evening, reviewing the day's security footage, Mike discovered something that made his decision crystal clear. Pixel Push's CEO was recorded giving a tour to potential investors, gesturing at Mike's property while saying, "This whole area is practically ours already. These old businesses just haven't realized they're sitting on prime tech campus real estate." The next morning, Mike called an emergency staff meeting. As his team shared their frustrations, a pattern emerged. Pixel Push wasn't just being inconsiderate. They were systematically treating his property as an extension of their campus, assuming their tech industry status gave them priority over a mere warehouse operation. "They think we're yesterday's news," Mike told his team, "but they've forgotten something important. While they're burning investor cash, we've been profitable for 15 years. Time to show them what real business innovation looks like." That afternoon, Mike made 3 calls, one to his lawyer, one to his bank, and one to James Wong, his old college roommate, who'd built the city's most successful luxury valet service. As he outlined his plan, James let out a low whistle. "Mike, you're not just solving a parking problem. You're about to give them a masterclass in property rights and respect." Looking out at the chaos in his parking lot one last time, Mike smiled. Pixel Push had disrupted his business for the last time. Now it was his turn to disrupt their comfortable assumptions about the old warehouse next door. Little did they know, their free parking paradise was about to become the most exclusive parking service in the tech district. Operation Executive Parking launched with military precision at 4 a.m. on a foggy Monday morning. While Pixel Push's offices sat dark and empty, Mike's parking lot underwent a stunning transformation. James Wong's elite valet team worked with practiced efficiency, installing sleek branded podiums, digital check-in kiosks, and professional lighting systems. By dawn, elegant signs proclaimed Chen Tech Executive Parking Services, members only at every entrance. Mike had spared no expense. The valets, dressed in burgundy uniforms with gold trim, projected an aura of high-end hospitality that made the Pixel Push office look surprisingly shabby in comparison. Each valet had been specially briefed on handling entitled tech workers, courtesy of James' experience managing parking for Silicon Valley events. The show began at 8:15 a.m. when the first Pixel Push employee, a senior developer in his Tesla Model S, approached his usual unauthorized spot. He was met by Marcus, the head valet, whose polite professionalism never wavered. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Chen Tech Executive Parking. May I see your membership credentials?" The developer's confusion was priceless. "Membership? I work next door at Pixel Push. We always park here." Marcus consulted his tablet. "I'm not showing any Pixel Push parking agreements in our system. However, I'd be happy to add you to our waiting list for premium membership. Current rate is $500 monthly, with a $2,000 security deposit." The morning devolved into beautiful chaos. Cars backed up onto the street as confused tech workers encountered the new reality. Some tried to argue, others attempted to drop Google reviews for a parking lot that didn't officially exist online, and a few even tried to code their way into the digital parking system from their cars. Mike watched it all unfold from his office, where he'd set up a command center with multiple camera feeds. Maria brought him hourly reports of the growing disruption next door, where Pixel Push's HR team was frantically sending company-wide Slack messages about the temporary parking situation. The crescendo came at 10:30 a.m. when Pixel Push's CEO arrived for an important investor meeting, only to find his usual spot occupied by a gleaming Bentley, belonging to one of Mike's actual clients who'd purchased a premium parking package. The CEO's demand to speak with management was smoothly handled by James himself, who'd flown in specially for the occasion. "Sir, Mr. Chen is currently in a strategy meeting regarding Phase 2 of our parking facility expansion. However, I can offer you our VIP valet rate of merely $75 per hour. We accept all major credit cards and cryptocurrency." The CEO's face turned an interesting shade of purple. "This is ridiculous. We're a $50 million company." "Fascinating," James replied, checking his tablet. "Our projected parking revenue alone is $30 million annually. Now, about that VIP rate." By lunch, Pixel Push was in crisis mode. Their employees were scattered across public parking spots throughout the neighborhood, some walking several blocks in their designer sneakers. Client meetings had to be rescheduled. Food delivery drivers were refusing to navigate the chaos. Even their afternoon ping-pong tournament had to be cancelled due to low attendance. The final masterstroke came when Mike's team distributed premium parking membership offers to Pixel Push's top competitors in the area. The message was clear: adapt or watch your rivals claim the convenient parking you took for granted. As the day wound down, Mike received an urgent meeting request from Pixel Push's board of directors. The email's tone was dramatically different from their previous communications. Gone were the condescending suggestions about embracing change. Instead, they proposed a mutual exploration of collaborative space utilization strategies. Standing in his transformed parking lot that evening, watching the valets efficiently managing the few authorized vehicles, Mike felt a deep satisfaction. He hadn't just solved a parking problem, he'd demonstrated that sometimes the most powerful innovation isn't a new app or platform, but simply standing your ground with style and professionalism. Tomorrow's meeting with Pixel Push would be interesting indeed. The situation at Mike Chen's warehouse had been brewing for months before that fateful morning. His family-run electronics distribution business, Chen Electronic Solutions, had operated smoothly for 15 years in the industrial district until Silicon Valley decided to creep into their neighborhood. The first sign of trouble came when the abandoned furniture warehouse next door was transformed into a gleaming glass and steel monstrosity, complete with nap pods and ping-pong tables visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. Mike had initially welcomed Pixel Push's arrival, hoping it might bring some modernization to the aging industrial park. That optimism lasted exactly 3 days. On day 4, he arrived to find a cherry-red Porsche blocked his personal parking spot, its owner nowhere in sight. The car's dashboard displayed a small placard: Pixel Push Senior Developer, Agile Parking Solutions. Real agile, blocking the owner's spot, Mike muttered, calling a tow truck out of principle. But before it arrived, A young man in a designer hoodie came sprinting out, waving his arms frantically. Wait, sorry man, I thought this was part of our lot. The developer's casual apology came with zero recognition that he'd nearly had his precious Porsche towed. You should really mark these spots better, like, with an app or something. That interaction set the tone for everything that followed. Within weeks, Pixel Push's workforce of 200+ employees had decided that Mike's spacious loading dock and parking area was their unofficial overflow lot. They arrived in waves. First the early birds claiming the prime spots near the entrance, then the mid-morning crowd squeezing into increasingly creative parking arrangements, and finally the afternoon bunch who seemed to think parking perpendicular to marked spaces was perfectly acceptable. Mike's warehouse staff began documenting the daily disruptions. Maria, his logistics manager for a decade, created a spreadsheet tracking delayed deliveries, complete with photographs and timestamps. Jose, the senior forklift operator, had to start his shift an hour earlier just to maneuver around the obstacle course of luxury vehicles. Even Mike's teenage son, helping out during school breaks, noticed something odd. The Pixel Push employees never parked like this at their own executive spots. The breaking point came during their busiest season, when a crucial shipment of high-end gaming monitors needed immediate unloading. The delivery truck circled the block 6 times, unable to access the loading dock due to a perfectly staged row of Teslas, their owners presumably brainstorming the next big app over cold brew coffee inside Pixel Push's air-conditioned offices. Mike's attempt at professional dialogue proved futile. His emails to Pixel Push's office manager went unanswered. His visit to their reception desk resulted in being handed a virtual business card and promised a digital consultation slot that never materialized. Even the formal letter from his lawyer was reportedly lost in the cloud storage. The final insult came when Mike overheard 2 Pixel Push employees outside his office window during their lunch break. "Did you hear?" one said, scrolling through their phone. "The CEO says this whole block will be tech offices soon anyway. That warehouse is like, so last century. They should thank us for bringing up their property values." That evening, as Mike locked up the warehouse, he noticed something that made his blood boil. A Pixel Push team was hosting an impromptu photoshoot in his loading dock, using the industrial backdrop for their company's recruitment materials. They had even moved his private propriété sign out of frame. Standing there, watching the sunset reflect off the rows of unauthorized vehicles, Mike Chen made a decision. If these tech hotshots wanted to treat his property like their personal parking playground, he would give them an education in old-school business tactics they wouldn't forget. After all, he hadn't spent 15 years building his business to become a free parking lot for a company that couldn't even be bothered to learn his name. Little did Pixel Push know, their parking privileges were about to undergo a dramatic disruption of their own.